How long does it take for IGF-1 LR3 to work? Well, everybody wants to know, like, how fast can I start seeing results? And even my wife, she'll ask me, like, when do I start seeing the results? And I'm like, well, you've seen results for over a decade, and it's not like some magical thing happens. But I can tell you, with IGF-1 LR3, you got to be careful. Don't expect some crazy outcome, but also at the same time, because it's got a very long half-life, and I've got another video on the half-life of IGF-1 LR3, make sure you check that one out. But you want to be looking at more long-term, like 90-day benefits. But the very first thing I notice is instantly IGF-1 LR3 mental clarity, because IGF-1 is that key that unlocks the gene for BDNF. So your brain feels better, you feel less inflamed, deep sleep improves, everything improves. But if my blood sugar is running too low, everything gets worse. So this is where blood labs become so critical, and cycling and pulsing. And so this is where I work with our doctors at Ageless Future, who help me get the right cadence, the right protocol. So if you want to go deeper, make sure you get your labs ran first before you'd ever start on this, because IGF-1, if it's too low, you've got significant risks of accelerated aging, loss of muscle mass, poor bone health. So if you've got like osteopenia risks, osteoporosis, this could be from a low IGF-1. If it's too high, you're activating mTOR too frequently, that can be a sign of cancer or creating an environment where that can thrive. So run your blood labs, go to agelessfuture.com. My team can help you get your labs ran. IGF-1 LR3, it works through two primary downstream pathways once it binds to the IGF-1 receptor. First, the PI3K and ATK and mTOR axis, and this drives protein synthesis. That's what we want to build muscle. You can activate protein synthesis when you eat protein and when you put stress on your muscles. The other thing IGF-1 does is it activates satellite cells, and then it suppresses what's called the FOXO-driven autophagy genes, MAFBX and MURF1. Second, the RAS, MAPK, and ERK pathways. This governs your cell proliferation, the differentiation, and this long arc process of hyperplasia, the formation of new muscle cells, not just the enlargement of existing ones. And so the satellite cells, as documented in several research articles, these stem cells of skeletal muscle, that's what your satellite cells are, they're located under the basal lamina of myofibers and are activated by IGF-1. They proliferate and fuse with existing fibers to provide new nuclei. This is why IGF-1 is so popular in bodybuilding and endurance sports, is because you get the structure, the biological foundation of hypertrophy. And it does cause a significant and sustained anabolic environment. A single signal of growth hormone is probably not enough for visible changes, but when that signaling starts and is activated long term, like with this peptide, you're going to see some robust changes as you eat the right foods and get in the gym. And so this is where it's really important that you have a healthy liver function before you ever start protein synthesis, because that's the organ that's doing all the work. You also want to make sure that you're clearing out any kind of toxicity, because you'll be burning fat very quickly. As you're using IGF-1, only use it on days where you're going to the gym and working out really hard. Now, this peptide has got a 20 to 30 hour half-life. It is significant. It's not something to mess around with, not something you're just like toss it in your stack for the weekend, something you want to make sure that you're working with your doctor on to determine if this is right for you. Because in the research in 2018, when they looked at the actions of IGF-1 on skeletal and lean tissue, they confirmed that IGF-1 plays a very critical role in muscle regeneration, satellite cell activation during compensatory hypertrophy. And remember, hypertrophy comes when you're pushing yourself to failure. Don't injure your body and don't be a grunter in the gym. Nothing worse than being in a gym on your own and there's like one dude, it's always dudes in there like grunting. Just work out at home if you need a grunt, but breathe. It's okay to breathe. But you do want to push yourself to failure. That is what can help with hypertrophy. And so this compensatory, so this is the most important thing, the anabolic response requires this consistent mechanical and hormonal stimulus across time. And IGF-1, the beautiful thing is it's a 20 to 30 hour half-life. It creates this sustained environment that makes your satellite cell cascade possible so that you have new muscle formations. You're not just growing the old ones. And this is why dudes my age, we love this, but if you run low on blood sugar, you'll start feeling it. You'll feel a little lightheaded, so be very careful. So here's the timeline. Hours 0 to 72, you're going to get that cellular spark where IGF-1 LR3 is going to bind on that IGF-1R pathway, and then you're going to notice that this protein synthesis rate increases because of the axis that you're binding it to. Glucose and amino acid uptake gets into muscle cell, that increases. You don't notice anything visibly, you just notice you feel a little more energetic. Your cells are starting to reorganize at the molecular level. Weeks 1 to 2, that could be where you first notice some signs. Now, this peptide can, in certain individuals, cause water retention. So if you gain some weight, it's probably not all muscle. There's probably some water retention there. So be aware of that. Make sure you've got the proper electrolyte balance because it doesn't have to cause water retention. But hydration in the muscles is actually a really good thing. So make sure you're taking your creatine, your beta-alanine. Those are really good for muscle hydration. And then a lot of people notice improved recovery. Soreness resolves faster. Training capacity feels elevated. Muscle fullness and improved nutrient partitioning may become more apparent. This is real. It's not a placebo. It actually reflects this increased GLUT4 activity through this amino acid transport driven by IGF-1. And GLUT4 is when you get glucose into the cell without the presence of insulin. Now, if you add in something like MOTS-c, where you're working on AMPK, that's the braking system for mTOR, this can be a really smart thing to do because you're also getting GLUT4 stabilization. You're going to get more mitochondrial biogenesis. You're going to have more energy. And you're going to get this endurance. So you're going to get these type 2 muscle fibers that start to engage. You'll notice around weeks 2 to 4, you're going to get satellite cell activation and accumulation. Your nitrogen retention is going to improve. Your body composition tends to measurably shift towards lean mass. Your fat oxidation improves. You may see the belly come down. This is where you start to see the markers move. So weeks 4 to 8, this would be the cutoff. And this is where the work of these first month pays off. So you start noticing hyperplasia, the formation of new muscle cells. Then you'll start seeing like, wow, I'm actually getting stronger. I can lift more weight, have a little more energy. And so by the time you're cycled off, and you're not doing this every day, do it as your doctor prescribes. But you'll notice that changes in your body composition, strength, and recovery, these are measurable. The place you want to start, get a DEXA scan. That shows body composition, bone mineral density. It also shows your lean mass versus fat mass. Get your IGF-1. Do not start this without doing your serum IGF-1, your fasting glucose, fasting insulin. Look at your insulin resistance score, hemoglobin A1C, look at your liver, your testosterone, all the hormones downstream. Your thyroid are really important. And then I have what's called the Fitness 50 at age 100. These are benchmarks that you can test yourself. It's a longevity scorecard. There's 11 exercises that I have laid out there. And I created this for one of my mentors, Dan Sullivan. He's the founder of Strategic Coach. He's got a goal to live to be 156. I mean, who doesn't? But he's got a great life, and he just turned 81. And the exciting thing about Dan is every quarter I see him, he gets a little healthier. And he makes these continual improvements. And so the Fitness 50 benchmarks, do that before you start, and then see what category are you fitter or fittest, and then do it after the IGF-1 experiment. So if you want to go deeper, love the content, I'll provide a link to another video on IGF-1, and you can click on it in a link below. I'm Regan Archibald. I'll see you there.